They have reached the moon, but their hearts remain in darkness. They have built skyscrapers that touch the clouds, yet their souls collapse in silence. In a world full of wealth, technology, and power, why does the heart still feel empty? Today, we live in a world where success is measured by what you own, not by what you become. In the West, everything looks perfect on the surface. Beautiful cities, powerful economies, endless entertainment, but beneath the glitter lies a silent cry. People have everything they ever wanted, yet they wake up with a feeling that something is missing. That something is not another gadget, not another relationship, not another achievement. It's the soul's longing for its creator. The truth is, you can feed your body with luxury, but if your soul is starving, you will never find peace. The modern Western world has replaced God with the self. It teaches people to follow your heart, but the heart without guidance becomes lost. It teaches you only live once, but forgets that the soul lives forever. The result? Confusion, depression, loneliness, and the epidemic of meaninglessness. People seek fulfillment in temporary pleasures, money, fame, physical beauty, but these are only distractions. Like pouring water into a broken cup, nothing stays, everything slips away, leaving the heart thirstier than before. Islam gives the answer that the world is searching for. It reconnects the soul with its source. It teaches that peace, sakina, is not found in things, but in submission to the one who made things. Islam restores balance between body and soul, between this world and the next. When you pray, when you remember Allah, you are feeding the part of you that the world cannot reach. You are telling your heart, I know where home is. The West has taught people how to live, but not why to live. Islam brings back the why. It reminds us that life is not random, that every hardship, every joy, every breath has meaning. It transforms pain into purpose, loss into lessons, and success into gratitude. In a world that says, do what makes you happy, Islam says, do what makes you whole. And true wholeness comes when the heart is attached to the one who never changes, never leaves, and never disappoints, Allah. So while the world runs after noise, Islam invites you to silence. While the world teaches competition, Islam teaches contentment. While the world glorifies the self, Islam humbles it before the Creator. And in that humility lies real power. Because peace does not come from controlling life. It comes from surrendering to the one who controls it. The West may have built the world, but Islam builds the soul. And the soul is where true peace lives. The emptiness you see around us today is not a failure of civilization. It is a reminder that humanity cannot live without God. The answer was never far away. It has always been within. The call is simple: return to your Creator, and you will return to yourself. In today's world, especially in the modern Western society, people have achieved almost everything the human mind once dreamed of: technological advancement, comfort, freedom, and endless opportunities, yet there is a deep ache that refuses to go away, a quiet emptiness that no luxury can fill. You see it in their eyes when the lights fade, in their conversations when silence becomes too heavy to bear, in their hearts when success no longer feels like victory. The Western world has mastered how to live materially, but forgotten how to live spiritually. It teaches its people that happiness can be bought, that purpose can be chosen. And that truth is whatever you want it to be. But what happens when everyone creates their own truth? Confusion becomes the norm, and meaning becomes lost. When you remove God from the center of life, everything loses alignment, relationships lose depth, ambitions lose sincerity, and even love becomes conditional. People begin to feel like wanderers in their own souls, searching for something they cannot name. They call it stress, anxiety, or burnout. But it is far deeper than that. It is spiritual starvation. In this world of endless distraction, the soul cries for connection. Society keeps telling it to keep scrolling, keep buying, keep pretending that everything is fine. Yet every night when the noise fades and the heart is left alone, the truth echoes, I have everything, but I am not at peace. That is the whisper of a soul disconnected from its creator. Islam comes to heal that disconnection. It reminds the human being that peace is not a product, it is a state of the heart that blossoms when you remember Allah. When a person prostrates, they are not lowering themselves, they are finally rising to their true purpose. Islam does not reject the world, it simply puts it in its rightful place, below the heart and beneath the worship of God. It teaches that material success without spiritual grounding is like a tree without roots. No matter how tall it grows, one storm can bring it down. Islam fills the emptiness with meaning. It gives direction to suffering, patience to pain, and gratitude to joy. It tells the human being, you were not created to chase the world, you were created to know the one who made it. When you live for the world, your peace depends on circumstances, When you live for Allah, peace lives inside you no matter what the world takes away. This is the secret that modern civilization has forgotten. The West has reached the stars but lost sight of the heavens. They have built towers that touch the clouds, but hearts that cannot touch peace. Islam brings back the light to that darkness, reminding humanity that true progress is not how far we travel in space, but how deeply we return to our Creator. In that return lies the answer to every void, every heartbreak, and every silent cry. Because when the soul finds Allah, it no longer needs to search for peace. It becomes peace itself. The Western world has created a version of life that appears flawless on the outside, yet hollow on the inside. People are surrounded by comfort. Their hearts ache with restlessness. They have more choices than ever before, yet they feel trapped by their own desires. They speak of freedom, but that freedom often becomes a prison when it lacks purpose and direction. The Western idea of happiness is built on consumption. Buy more, achieve more, experience more, but none of it satisfies the soul that was created for something eternal. When life is built only around material gain, it becomes an endless race that never leads to peace. A person may reach the top of success, but still feel like they are falling inside. That is because the soul does not survive on wealth, status, or pleasure. It survives on remembrance, meaning, and connection with the divine. Modern civilization has taught people to chase feelings instead of truth, and so every time the excitement fades, they must run again, faster, harder, deeper into distractions. But the more they chase, the more distant peace becomes. Depression, loneliness, and anxiety are not just emotional struggles, they are spiritual symptoms. They are signs that the heart has been cut off from its source. When people remove God from their lives, they replace Him with idols of their own, making career, fame, body image, entertainment, or even self-worship. Yet none of these replacements can fill the void, because the human soul was not designed to worship anything but Allah. Without Him, life becomes an endless cycle of wanting more and feeling less. The world promises satisfaction but delivers emptiness. Every success loses its flavor, every pleasure fades too soon, and every relationship disappoints when it becomes the center instead of the reflection of divine love. Islam enters this emptiness not as a restriction, but as a rescue. It realigns the human heart with its purpose: to serve, to know, and to love the Creator. Islam does not demand that you abandon the world. It teaches you how to live in it without being enslaved by it. It turns success into a means of gratitude rather than pride. It turns failure into a lesson rather than despair, and it transforms loneliness into solitude with God. Islam teaches that real peace comes when the heart surrenders, not when the world approves. The Western mind often confuses freedom with rebellion, but Islam shows that true freedom is found in obedience to the one who made you. When a person submits to Allah, they are no longer a slave to people, trends, or desires. They become liberated from everything that once controlled them. The prayer mat becomes their sanctuary, the remembrance of Allah their oxygen, and the Quran their compass in a world that has lost its direction. Islam gives the heart what no material object can: stability, balance, and tranquility. It redefines happiness not as a fleeting emotion, but as a state of contentment rooted in faith. When the Western world looks for fulfillment in temporary pleasure, Islam points to eternal purpose. The difference is profound. One is chasing shadows, the other is walking toward light. The world's emptiness is not a mystery. It is a reminder that the soul cannot live without the one who created it. And when the world realizes that peace is not found in what we possess, but in whom we remember, then the silent ache of humanity will finally find its cure. The modern Western society has built its foundation upon the pursuit of self-expression, self-gratification, and self-worship, and in doing so, it has lost touch with the essence of being human. The soul, which was created to serve something higher, has been trapped in the prison of ego. People are taught to live for themselves, to do whatever makes them happy. No one tells them that happiness detached from the divine is temporary and shallow. You can't find peace by following a map drawn by your desires. You find it when you follow the path drawn by your Creator. The Western world glorifies independence. Yet dependence on worldly pleasures has enslaved hearts more than ever before. The irony is that while technology has connected the world, it has disconnected people from their own souls. A person may have thousands of friends online, yet feel unseen, may have countless achievements, yet feel unfulfilled, may have every comfort, yet struggle to sleep in peace. When life becomes all about performance, how you look, what you have, what others think, the soul suffocates. The emptiness that spreads across Western civilization is not because people lack opportunity, but because they lack purpose. The absence of spirituality leaves a void that no material possession can fill. People chase validation, intoxicated by the illusion of control, unaware that true peace only arrives when you surrender that control to the one who already owns it. This emptiness is not a punishment. It is a wake-up call from the soul saying you have forgotten your creator, and until the soul remembers him, no amount of pleasure, progress, or power can heal the restlessness within. Islam offers a response that the world has long been searching for, a way to restore what has been lost. Not through escapism, but through reconnection. Islam speaks to the heart in a way no ideology can, because it addresses the root, not the symptom. It tells you that you were never meant to fill your heart with temporary things, for your heart was designed for the eternal. It teaches that success is not about ownership, but about alignment with your purpose, your creator, and your moral center. Every act in Islam, from prayer to charity, from fasting to kindness, is a reminder that the soul is nourished through service, not through selfishness. When you bow your head in sujood, you are reminded that humility is not weakness, it is liberation from the arrogance that keeps you restless. When you remember Allah, the noise of the world begins to fade, and you realize that peace was never out there, it was always within, waiting for you to quiet the distractions. Islam calls people away from the illusion that life's worth is measured in possessions, and instead it teaches that true richness is contentment. The beauty of Islam is that it does not demand perfection, it invites reflection. It understands human nature, the flaws, the desires, the struggles, and offers a system that balances the body, mind, and soul. It teaches that this life is a test, not a destination. When you live with that awareness, even your pain gains purpose and your hardships become doors to spiritual growth. That is why Islam doesn't just give rules, it gives meaning. The Western world may have achieved greatness in science, art, and innovation, but it has forgotten the one truth that gives life to all knowledge. That wisdom without worship leads to arrogance, and progress without purpose leads to despair. The spiritual emptiness that dominates modern civilization is not because people are evil or lost, it's because they have been conditioned to seek fulfillment in all the wrong places. They have been told to look everywhere except toward heaven. But when the heart turns back to Allah, everything begins to realign. The world looks different. Relationships deepen, and every breath becomes an act of worship. Islam does not call people to abandon their world. It calls them to transform it by filling it with remembrance, mercy, and sincerity. The Prophet's message was not a rejection of modern life, it was a reminder of eternal truth. It told humanity that peace is not found in having more, but in being closer to the one who gives all. This is the message the West desperately needs today. That you can conquer the world and still lose your soul, but if you find Allah, you have already gained everything. The emptiness that plagues hearts is the result of living without remembrance, and the cure lies not in another invention or ideology, in a simple return, a return to the one who created peace, the one who is peace, and the only one who can place peace within us. The Western world has built itself on the idea that happiness comes from freedom. Freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. That kind of freedom has slowly turned into a kind of slavery where people become prisoners of their own desires. They are told to chase pleasure, to follow their hearts, to create their own truth, but no one tells them that the heart without divine guidance can lead you astray. The heart is not meant to be followed blindly. It is meant to be purified, guided, and anchored in something higher. When people remove God from their lives, they lose that anchor, and the result is what we see today: confusion, brokenness, and spiritual emptiness masked behind smiles. The Western mind teaches people to live for themselves, but when life becomes all about me, it loses meaning. The soul was created for connection, and no amount of individualism can replace the need for belonging to God, to faith, to something beyond the self. That is why, despite all the noise of modernity, people feel so lonely. Their hearts are surrounded by people yet disconnected from peace. The more they chase happiness in the material world, the more exhausted they become. It's like drinking salty water. The more you consume, the thirstier you feel. That is the tragedy of a life lived without purpose, without remembrance, without the awareness of the one who created you. Islam steps into that emptiness not as a rule book, but as a reminder that the soul has a home, and that home is with Allah. Islam redefines freedom not as the right to do anything, but as the strength to do what is right. It liberates you from the chains of ego and desire, from the constant need for approval, and from the endless comparison that defines modern life. It teaches that your worth does not depend on how others see you, but on how sincerely you live in front of your Creator. When a person understands that their life is not random, that every moment is part of a divine plan, something inside them softens. Peace begins to bloom where chaos once lived. Prayer becomes more than ritual, it becomes refuge. Fasting becomes more than hunger, it becomes discipline. Charity becomes more than giving, it becomes purification. Islam reconnects every act of life to the purpose of existence, to worship Allah in every step, word, and intention. And when you live like that, even the smallest moments, like a smile, a breath, a tear, gain eternal meaning. The Western world chases experiences to feel alive. Islam teaches you to feel alive by being aware of the one who gave you life. That awareness transforms how you see everything. The same world that once felt heavy begins to feel sacred. What the West calls emptiness, Islam calls forgetfulness, the forgetting of who we are and why we are here. The Quran describes this state perfectly, that those who forget Allah, He makes them forget themselves. This is the reality of the modern world. People have forgotten who they are because they have forgotten who made them. They seek identity in labels, movements, and ideologies, yet none of them satisfy because they are built on shifting sand. Islam offers a foundation that does not move because it is rooted in the eternal truth of Tawheed, the oneness of God. When the heart holds on to that truth, it no longer feels lost, no matter how the world changes. Islam teaches that this life is temporary, and that realization frees the soul from constant anxiety. The Western world tells you to fight aging, to fear death, to cling to youth as if it were eternal, but Islam reminds you that every stage of life has beauty, every moment has purpose, and death is not the end. It is a return. This shift in perspective brings peace the world cannot understand. When you stop fearing what you cannot control and start trusting the one who controls everything, the storms of life no longer shake you. The world may remain chaotic, but the heart remains calm. The emptiness of the West is not beyond healing. It is a call for rediscovery. Humanity stands at a crossroads where material progress has outpaced moral and spiritual growth. We have learned how to build machines that think, but we have forgotten how to feel. We have conquered outer space, but we have abandoned inner space, the world of the soul. Islam calls humanity back to that inner world, not to escape reality, but to illuminate it. It offers balance where the body and soul, reason and revelation, this world and the next, all coexist in harmony. It tells you that peace is not found by escaping life, but by aligning it with divine purpose. When a person remembers Allah sincerely, the heart that was once restless begins to rest. The eyes that once looked for answers begin to weep with gratitude. And the mind that once questioned everything begins to find clarity in faith. The answer to the West's spiritual crisis is not new. It is ancient. It lies in remembering that the one who created the heart also gave it its cure. And when the heart finally returns to that remembrance, when it bows to the one who made it, it finds what it was searching for all along: peace, purpose, and the presence of Allah.